So you're thinking about moving to Carlsbad, California, but you kind of want to know the good and the bad before you actually dive in and make that move. Well, in this video, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons of what it's actually like to call Carlsbad home. Now, it's a question I get very often is where should I move in San Diego? Should it be Carlsbad? Should it be Oceanside? Should it be La Jolla? Should it be San Marcos? That's exactly what I want to share with you guys is each of these cities have good and bad stuff about it. So today, let's go ahead and talk about Carlsbad and we're going to get after it now. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here and you'd like to know more about San Diego real estate or life here in San Diego or Carlsbad, make sure you tap that subscribe button below. My name is Nick and I get calls, text, emails daily from you guys and I love it. So if you're thinking about making a move here in a week, a month, a year, make sure you reach out, start that conversation because I'd love to help you make a smooth move here to San Diego and just help save you a lot of time. Like I said, we're gonna talk a lot about Carlsbad today because just like any other city all over the world, I mean, it's gonna have its good stuff and it's gonna have its bad stuff. So Carlsbad, it's quite the hidden gem. Maybe not so much a hidden gem anymore because a lot of steam and wind has picked up and a lot of people have moved there, especially over the last 2-3 years, which have brought prices up significantly. But Carlsbad is a great place. It's got so many great things going for it. I mean, some really clean and beautiful beaches. It has one of the best public school systems here from what I know, in the US. And it just has some great parks and some great subdivision for homes. So it's a great place to call home. But let's go ahead and move into the first con. The first con that we're gonna get into is going to be the tourism in the summer months. Now, what I mean by this is the crowds. And you're gonna feel the wrath of tourism and tourists and crowds on any coastal town here in San Diego, especially during the summer months. Carlsbad, in my opinion, just sees way more crowds and way more people than a lot of these other coastal towns. And the reason is because it just has a lot of stuff happening. It's a very charming, very rad city, so it's gonna see a lot of visitors come here. And this is pretty insane. The population in Carlsbad is about 115,000 people. In the summer months, just in the summer months, it sees about 3.5 million visitors. Now, that's a huge amount of people, especially, in a 3 to 4 month span, because when you really look at it, San Diego has a population of just over 3 million people. That just blows my mind a little bit because Carlsbad just sees that many people in that short amount of time. So it's something you really have to think about. And especially if you're gonna be living there long term, I mean, you're gonna deal with this, but the good news is it's only during the summer months. So from June all the way up to about the end of August, beginning of September, the streets are gonna start to fill up. The lines are gonna get longer if you wanna go grab a beer or you wanna go to a restaurant or even if you wanna go to the grocery store. There's just more people here. And it's really because it's just a place with beautiful beaches. There's a ton of great restaurant options, and you have everything you could really need just in the city of Carlsbad. And not to mention, you're surrounded by a bunch of other cool cities like Oceanside, you have San Marcos, you have Encinitas, and it's all within a 10, 15, 20-minute drive. So you have so many options. I live on a beach town, and once September hits, it's crazy. All the kids go back to school, parents go back to work, and the beaches, you can find parking now, things go back to normal. And best part is the weather is still perfect and it might be even a little bit better. So that's just the first thing I wanted to cover and make sure you know about it. And that's a great segue into our first pro, which is going to be great accessibility. Now, accessibility is a word I use a lot, especially in the coastal towns and coastal parts of San Diego, because the accessibility in these areas are just so good. It's funny because I looked up the definition before I did this video because I really wanted to understand. I know accessibility means having good access to stuff, but what it actually means is the quality of being able to reach or enter. Think about that. When I say Carlsbad has such great accessibility, it's because you are in such a prime location. I mean, no matter where you live in Carlsbad, you're gonna be about 5, maybe 10 minutes tops to a very big shopping plaza that's gonna have everything you could need. It's gonna have grocery store options, probably multiple. It's gonna have some great food options all the way up to upscale restaurants to very healthy fast food choices. And it's just really something to appreciate because you don't have to drive far. You might not have great walkability in all these regions, but you are gonna have very, very prime drivability. And what I wanna cover more on accessibility is you're just in such a great region geographically that you're surrounded by a couple great towns like Oceanside, you have San Marcos, you have Encinitas. Those are some of your neighboring cities that are just so close. They really offer a whole different amount of things. So you can always go over there if you get bored. The accessibility, you can get downtown San Diego or the airport in about 45 minutes. You can go to Mexico in less than an hour if you want to drive to the border and hang out there for the day. You can go to LA, which is going to be an hour and a half to 2 hours away. So the location of Carlsbad is definitely one of my favorites. And for all my dog lovers and my outdoor people, I mein, Carlsbad's going to be great because you just have so many options and accessibility to so many great things like trails. You're going to have some really massive parks like Alga Norte, which has a really fun skate park. You have pools there, you have a dog park, soccer fields, and then Poinsettia Park, which is another big park. You're going to have lighted tennis courts, indoor soccer arena. I mean, the list goes on. And I do not want to forget the beaches because they're all along the coast right here, and they're some of the cleanest, most beautiful beaches, in my opinion, in all of San Diego. So that's right in your backyard. So if you like all that stuff, Carlsbad is definitely something to consider. But with this great accessibility leads to higher demand, which really just leads to our next con, which is going to be affordability. Now, affordability and the cost of living here in San Diego is much higher than the national average. And it really comes down to the demographics of Carlsbad. I mean, you have so many business professionals here. You have about 13 golf companies like Titleist, TaylorMade, Cobra. You have a very large communications company here called Viasat. And you have a ton of medical centers and hospitals close by. So you're gonna have, like I said, a lot of business professionals and people that make a lot higher of an income. So that's what makes the cost here more. And the median home value in the United States is at about $420,000, while Carlsbad is about $1.2 million. So it's nearly 3 times the price. And you know, our taxes here in California are higher than a lot of other states, our income tax. So if you can probably afford Carlsbad, then you're probably gonna be in that higher tax bracket. It's just something you have to be aware of because you can find, you know, smaller homes, condos, townhomes, starting at about $600,000 to $700,000 here in Carlsbad, but you can also find multi-million-dollar homes right on the beach that are oceanfront. I'm not saying that Carlsbad is not worth it. I'm just saying it costs a little bit more than a lot of other cities here in San Diego. That's gonna take us into our next pro, which is going to be the public school systems here in Carlsbad. Now, if you're really concerned about your kids getting a very good education, make sure you put Carlsbad at the very top of your list, especially here in San Diego. And according to niche.com, they are actually ranked number 2 for having the best public school system in all of the United States. So that's huge. And I did a little bit more research on this, and I found that 2 high schools, 3 middle schools, and 5 elementary schools were rated an A+ within the district. So, but there is also a little something that you should really learn about, because I've learned it a ton just selling real estate in Carlsbad. Carlsbad's actually gonna feed into about 3 different school districts. So Carlsbad is a very big place when you look at it on the map. But if you're gonna be, just to note, and definitely reach out if you have questions on this, because I'll help figure out what school district you're in. As far as it goes, just to note, is the south of Carlsbad is gonna feed into the San Diego school district. So that's different. That's going to be Encinitas, and that also has a very good school district, but you're not going to be, even if you're in Carlsbad and have a Carlsbad zip code, in that southern part of, La Costa area and parts of Carlsbad, you're going to feed into Encinitas. And if you're on the more eastern side of Carlsbad, like the older section of La Costa and Rancho Carrillo, that's actually going to feed into the San Marcos school district, which is also a very good school district. But if you just want to be in that Carlsbad school district, make sure you do your research and find out which areas are actually going to feed into it. And that's going to take us into our final con, which honestly, I had a lot of trouble coming up with cons for Carlsbad because it has a lot of good stuff going for it. Let's go ahead and touch base on this one. This is actually going to be the lack of seasons here in Carlsbad. Now, depending on where you're coming from, maybe you're coming from the Midwest, maybe you're coming from Canada, maybe you're coming from the East Coast, where you actually have seasons. I'm born and raised here in San Diego, and I feel like there's literally just 2 seasons, and it's spring and summer. That's it. We see some rain, we see some clouds, but we do not get snow, well, at least here on the coast. And if you do see snow on the coast, that's not good. That's not a good sign. I don't know what's happening to the world. But if you're the type of person that loves to wake up on Christmas Day and see snow on your front doorstep, you're not going to have it here. I mean, I've gone to the beach on Thanksgiving before and had a beautiful beach day. So the seasonality and the changes here, you're not going to have it, but this could be a major pro depending on where you're coming from and what you're looking for. I mean, we have some of the best weather here, as you know, but it's going to be anywhere from 50 to 80. So in the wintertime, it's going to be maybe mid 40s at night. And then in the daytime, maybe mid 50s if it's really cold, but usually 60. And then in the summers, it's going to be around 70 to maybe 85 on a hot day. But that's it. So lack of seasons, that could be a con for you. And that's going to take us into our final pro, which is going to be, drum roll, it's going to be the master plan communities and the custom home options. Now, a lot of cities here in San Diego, you really don't have the choice for both. You're usually going to have older built homes that are going to be more custom. And here in Carlsbad, you have the options for both. So if tract homes aren't your thing and you want something that has a little bit more land, you're not close to your neighbor and no house looks the same, then you have that option here. You can find a custom built home. Or you can find a master plan community where it's going to be more tract style, but you're going to have walkability probably in places like Brescia Ranch, and you're going to just have newer built homes, which is great because a lot of people want that. They might not be built in 2020 or 2021, but most of these homes are going to be built in 2000 and newer. So it's something you need to know, and make sure if you haven't checked out any of my other videos, I have a ton on especially North County, San Diego, but I do map tours, I do neighborhood tours, I do pretty much everything to help you guys out. So if you're thinking about making a move here in a week, a month, a year, make sure you reach out. Just shoot me a text, give me a call, or just shoot me an email, and I'd love to hear your story and just see what I can do to help this be a lot smoother and a lot less stressful. So guys, I hope this video was helpful, and I will see you guys in the next one.